Hi, everyone. Welcome to a very special BBYO On Demand event. My name is Sammy Starr, and I'm coming to you live from Dallas, Texas.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this homecoming experience. I'm Emily Char, and I'm welcoming tonight's experience from Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey.
We're thrilled to be your host for this evening's homecoming with Mark Cuban. We're going to first introduce Mark, and then we'll share a little bit about ourselves and a little bit about our brand new virtual platform, BBYO On Demand.
You probably don't need a ton of context about our very special guest, Mark Cuban. He's become a household name across North America and throughout the world as a self-made success in the business world, in entrepreneurship, in professional sports, and as a champion of many philanthropic charitable causes.
Since the age of 12, Mark has been a natural businessman, selling garbage bags door to door. The seed was planted early on for what would eventually be long-term success. Growing up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Mark was an active member of BBYO, and upon high school graduation, headed off to Indiana, where he briefly owned the most popular bar in town. After college, Mark headed south to Dallas, where he created Micro Solutions, a computer consulting service where he sold in 1990 to CompuServe.
In 1995, Mark and his long-term friend, Todd Wagner, came up with an internet-based solution to listen to Hoosiers basketball games from Texas. This solution was Broadcast.com, which brought streaming audio to the internet, and in just 4 short years, Broadcast.com, then AudioNet, was acquired by Yahoo.
Since becoming the Dallas Mavericks team owner in 2000, he has seen the Mavs compete in the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history in 2006 and became NBA World Champions in 2011. They are currently listed as one of Forbes' most valuable franchises in sports.
Weekly, Mark joins us in our homes as one of ABC's sharks on the hit show Shark Tank, and as an active investor in an ever-growing portfolio of businesses. He lives in Dallas with his wife Tiffany, daughters Alexis and Alyssa, and his son Jake.
And we are so honored to welcome Mark home to BBYO tonight, where we're joined by teens, families, alumni, and friends from all over the world. Thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. We've been looking forward to this opportunity for a very long time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We're ecstatic. We've got a great program for everyone tuning in this evening. At the moment, we have more than 3,000 members across our BBYO family with us, and it looks like the audience just continues to climb. We just finished an introduction about your personal and professional journey, and now we'd like to quickly introduce ourselves to you before we share a little bit about the platform you're joining us on right now. So let me start by introducing my teammate, Sammy Starr here. Sammy is currently a senior at Plano West Senior High School in your hometown of Dallas, Texas. He's currently serving as the senior class president and was recently BBYO's Northern Texas Oklahoma Regional Vice President of Membership. In his free time, he likes to buy and sell sneakers, trade stock options, and of course, eat sushi. And Sammy will be attending Indiana University next year to study finance.
And Mark, this is Emily Char, and she's currently the president of BBYO Greater Jersey Region in Northern New Jersey. Emily's a bit of a social good serial entrepreneur, having founded her own nonprofit organization in the past to help low-income families attain necessary supplies. Her networks have supported hundreds of families, and when Hurricane Maria struck Puerto Rico, she sent $16,000 in baby supplies to families in need right there. Right now, she's working to support healthcare workers on the front lines of COVID-19 as she prepares to bring her love for Judaism and entrepreneurship to Vanderbilt University next fall.
Perhaps some of you at home, you might be returning to BBYO for the first time in a little while. So we want to catch you up on the organization we all share. Today, BBYO reaches more than 80,000 Jewish teens each year across more than 730 chapters in 55 countries worldwide.
When the outbreak of COVID-19 began, BBYO quickly transitioned from an in-person event organization hosting tens of thousands of teens weekly to an organization focused exclusively on connectivity. Over the course of 3 quick days in March, we launched BBYO Demand, a 24/7 virtual hub for Jewish teens worldwide. Called the Jewish Netflix for live programming by the press, BBYO On Demand gives Jewish teens and young adults access to an innovative, interactive digital space filled with peer-led and expert-facilitated art classes, esports gaming tournaments, book clubs, chapter meetings, music performances, cooking demos, fitness classes, community service projects, Shabbat experiences, TikTok challenges, voter registration drives, and so much more.
And it's all managed by us, a network of hundreds of teens from around the world. Since launching the platform just 5 weeks ago, nearly 50,000 teens have participated in more than 250,000 programs so far. This is one of the ways we're continuing to grow and laugh with each other, learn with each other, and work together to help those in need during this challenging time.
And sometimes we get to host special guests like you. So we've got some rapid fire questions to start, some questions we gathered from friends near and far, and then we'll move to some questions for our audience for our final segment together. All of you are at home and can email us questions at azabbg@bbyo.org. Mark, are you ready?
I'm ready. Fire away.
Great. So we have 10 rapid fire questions just to get things going, get the heart rate up. So here we go. Are you more of a morning person or a night person?
Night.
Do you prefer the beach or vacationing in the mountains?
Beach.
What's your favorite social media platform?
TikTok. M. Cuban. Renegade. Renegade.
You're better at it than I am.
Sorry. Are you more of a dog guy or a cat guy?
Dog.
What's your favorite kind of sandwich?
Reuben. Cuban Reuben.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
People eating with their mouth open.
Noted. What's your favorite song currently?
Oh my goodness. The new Travis Scott song that just came out I like, but I don't even know the name of it. Just the one that just came out.
I trust you.
All right, let's talk Pittsburgh pizza for a second. Minios or Alios?
Mini-hos, come on now.
All right, now Dallas food. Tex-Mex or barbecue?
Barbecue.
Who would you rather have on your team at their prime, Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
Michael Jordan.
And finally, maybe the most important, what's your favorite movie?
Step Brothers.
Pretty good.
So let's start at the beginning and chat about your youth in Pittsburgh and your high school days.
Okay.
Tell us about growing up in Pittsburgh and how those years influenced who you've become today. Anything from your high school years that particularly inspired you?
Oh, wow. I was born in the Jewish part of town, Squirrel Hill. My dad did upholstery on cars, and we lived in a tiny little one-bedroom apartment. And then we moved to what's called Birdland in South Hills of Pittsburgh. And that's where I went to elementary school at Samuel S. Nixon Elementary School. And that was formative because I went from, actually I was so young I really don't remember, but living in the Jewish part of town to being one of, me and Michael Leverett were the only two Jewish kids in all of school. And that was just a unique experience because, it was always when there was a Jewish holiday, I had to stand up and explain everything. And, back then there was just people in that neighborhood that were not real understanding and getting into fights when I was a little kid and coming home to my dad and not understanding why people were picking on me. But getting past that and then, moving to a part of town called Mount Lebanon, which was only a half a mile away, and then really blossoming. That's where I found my first Jewish friends. That's where I joined ACA and made some of my best lifetime friends. It's funny because the guys that I played basketball with for ACA, the guys that we went to camp with at Emma Kaufman Camp, and that I worked at when I was in high school, they're all still my best friends. And we all still go by, the same old stupid nicknames. Like I was Boris in high school because I took Russian in school. And so, they went around asking, what do you want to call yourself? And it's an old cartoon, Rocky and Bullwinkle, but the girl next to me picked Natasha. So I had to pick Boris. And to this day, my high school buddies call me Boris. So if I'm ever back in Pittsburgh and if you hear anybody call me Boris, then you'll know why. Anyway, and beyond that, it was just, it's just a normal kid, man. I just did things that I like to do. And I was a basketball junkie and was into business and loved to read about business. And, that got me through it. I mean, it was a normal childhood.
At what point do you think you began to realize that, business and entrepreneurship was the path you really wanted to take? At what age and what experience was that for you?
In high school, for sure. I remember being at Mount Lebanon High School and being a junior and asking them if I could take a senior level class in economics, because that was the only business class they had back then. And they wouldn't let me do it. And so I literally started taking night classes at the University of Pittsburgh because they would let me take those classes, and didn't go back for my senior year in high school. I literally was a high school dropout because I went to the University of Pittsburgh for what would have been my senior year and took classes there. But they didn't have a full-time business school. So after I took like credits from University of Pittsburgh, that allowed me to graduate from high school and go to Indiana University. And I went to Indiana because I saw a list of the top 10 business schools, and I picked out the cheapest one. I'd never seen it, and it was Indiana University. And so, you know, Sammy, you're going to have a great time there, but now you know how I got there.
Yeah, absolutely. For many of the teens who aspire to enter the realms of business and entrepreneurship, what would you say has been the most important step you've taken to achieve success?
You know, I learned how to sell. Starting a business really when you're young isn't about some big, vast plan or, raising money and going out and creating this big adventure. It really is just keeping things simple. I started when I was 10, 11 years old selling baseball cards. I sold garbage bags when I was 12. I mean, I've always been a basketball junkie, like I said, and I wanted a new pair of really cool kicks, right? And so I went to my dad, who was playing poker with his buddies, and I'm like, Dad, I want a new pair of shoes, like every kid, right? I need some cool shoes. And my dad was always like, those shoes on your feet, do they work? Yeah, well, when you have your own job, and you have your own money, you can buy anything you want. But until then, those shoes are what you're going to keep. I'm like, Dad, my own job, I'm 12 years old. Well, it turns out one of the guys he was playing poker with says to me, you know what? I've got all these boxes of garbage bags, and you can sell them door to door. And I was like, okay, as long as I can get my basketball shoes. So literally, I'm 12, and I'm like, okay, I'll figure this out. And then looking back in hindsight, it taught me so much, because think about it. There's a little 12-year-old kid, little Mark Cuban, walking up, knocking on the door going, hi, my name is Mark. Do you use garbage bags? And of course, everybody says yes. And I'm selling these bags, $6 a box for 100 of them. And I'm like, if you just say yes, I'll drop them off whenever you call me, and I'll have those garbage bags for you, and they'll be great. And I learned how to sell. It wasn't like I made a fortune. I got my basketball shoes, but at the same time, I learned that selling wasn't about convincing. Selling wasn't hard. Selling was about helping people. And being 12 years old and getting that confidence, to answer your question, Emily, that's what set me up for being able to do things and starting my own companies when I was older. Because one of the mottos I learned back then that I carry with me is sales cures all. There's never been a company in the history of companies that ever survived without sales. And I knew then, and if I lost everything today, I could go into sales and still be successful.
Absolutely. So how do you feel that the times have changed with you being as a kid and kids today with technology?
Well, obviously it's different, but it's still the same. I mean, there's new adventures, right? Where I might have read a magazine or a book. My kids might go on YouTube, and where I played Yahtzee and Stratomatic baseball and Monopoly, they're playing Fortnite and Overwatch and, little bit of League of Legends. But, so it's different there, and learning is different too. And this is more for the parents that are out there. It's interesting. For the longest time, I had to pay my kids to read books, right? Read this, read that. And they were like, Dad, I learned as much on YouTube. And now over time, as I would ask them questions about different things that they're watching videos on, they are learning more things on YouTube because it's easier for them to consume. And there's a lot of great content there. There's just, everything in the universe is there. And you have to keep a little bit of an eye on it, but it's a great way to learn. And so when we talk about kids today versus then, I think it was more reading driven. That was your way to really consume information and learn. And now it's more video and online driven. And it's still a little bit, different. You've got, Snapchat Discover and Instagram Stories and, as ways of people picking up short bits of information where we used to watch it on TV and get it on the news or Sports Center or whatever. So it's different, but I actually think this is better. I think this is a better way because when people do videos on subjects, they realize they have to be to the point and entertaining. Whereas a book, just to get information out, you might have to grind through it. And I'm still a huge reader. I read 3 hours a day. That's how I get a competitive advantage in business. But I recognize that it's going to be different for kids today. And so parents, when your kids don't read the way you used to, and you think it's a problem, don't stress, because it actually can be a benefit.
Yeah, and it definitely opens up a whole new realm for business, considering, I mean, I had friends in middle school who were selling their, iPhone cases when they were done with them. It opens up a whole new thing to sell.
Yep. Yeah, look at
Especially
kids
starting
selling
to sell
sneakers
yourself
today, man.
on YouTube.
Yeah, kids are selling their kicks on eBay. I mean, I think half the kids I know that are friends of my kids that are hustling, have their side hustle. It's all about selling shoes, right? They're
Yeah.
buying them. They're taking advantage of the lack of efficiency in some of the markets. So hey, whatever it is, it was baseball cards and garbage bags for me. It could be online with eBay selling shoes or anything else or cases. As long as you're learning, right? That's the whole key. You're learning how to go through the process of starting a business, how you make money, how you sell things, what works and what doesn't work. And when something doesn't work, how to change your path and find a way that does work.
So speaking of things that don't always work, what would you say has been one of your biggest obstacles to success? Whether it's like a mental type of thing, mental obstacle, or a concrete obstacle that you had to really get over?
I mean, look, I've failed a lot of times. I've been fired from jobs. I've had dumb businesses, dumb investments. And, I try to look at all of them as learning experiences. I mean, I had this little company where I tried to sell powdered milk, right? This is my little side hustle. I'm like, milk is expensive. I'll sell them this powdered milk. You just mix with water. It doesn't taste nearly as good, but it's cheaper. You learn really quick that milk doesn't taste good. People aren't going to drink it or use it in their cereal. And so it was a dumb idea, but I learned from that as well. I say it all the time. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. You only have to be right one time, then everybody will tell you how lucky you are. And so your failures are just learning experiences. You don't like them, they're painful to go through sometimes, but you can build on them and learn from them. And I mentioned I've been fired. I've learned more from the jobs I've been fired from than the jobs I like, because I learned what not to do.
Mm-hmm. So going back to kind of like your youth and talking about like where you first came from, like what are the things that you wish you had done like differently?
Nothing. Maybe, it turned out just the way. Look, I'll say it this way. If you would have asked me when I was 16 in AZA and going to BBYO events and trying to meet girls in BBG, right, and trying to be cool and all, if you would have said, you know what, in a few years, your life's going to be so much different than you ever possibly could imagine, and you're going to be wealthier than your wildest dreams, you're going to be able to do things, people are going to know who you are, I would have laughed in your face. It just would have been inconceivable. And even now, sitting here with, thousands of people watching, it's crazy to me. It's just crazy. And it just seems unreal. But at the same time, the path I took had its ups and downs, good and bad. And I learned along the way. And I guess the point is, each and every one of you are going to have your own path. You don't need to copy my path. You don't need to copy Emily's path. You don't need to copy Sam's path. You need to create your own path. And if there's one thing I'm proud of, it's the fact that, I just kept on grinding and kept on pushing forward. And even when, things weren't the best, it didn't stop me. And so, it's not that I wouldn't change anything, because every single step was a learning experience.
Yeah, I think that's really important for me, at least as a teen, to hear, knowing that, the people that you might have looked up to when you were in BBYO, I look up to you now that I'm in BBYO, and maybe someday, there's a younger member who's going to be looking up to one of us and thinking, they were in BBYO too. It's a great network that we have. Speaking of networking, a little bit of a turn, but when you have people come give pitches for their companies or products on Shark Tank, what do you think, besides just a general good idea, is the thing that really makes you say, okay, this is the product I need?
Well, let me do my selling. Shark Tank's on Friday nights on ABC, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We'll be on tomorrow night. The thing that catches my attention the most is after listening to a pitch, or while I'm listening to a pitch, it makes me think, why didn't I think of that? Because then it's like something that seems so obvious while they're explaining it. And it was just like, oh my goodness, I could have thought of that and started a whole nother company. And so when somebody really presents me something that that gets me excited and makes me think wide into it. That's the first thing. The second thing, I want somebody who loves to learn, because the only certainty with business is that it's going to change. Look what's happening now with COVID. I mean, you've got to be agile. You've got to be flexible. Like a lot of my companies and coming up, running the companies, we always talked about agility, because tech, mostly tech companies, and the tech's always going to change. There's always going to be something new. And if you're learning and you're agile, then you'll figure it out. If you're doing things because that's the way they've always been done, then you're probably not going to make it. And so, you just got to recognize that things change, and you've got to be ready to go with it, and you've got to be able to learn.
Mm-hmm. So kind of covering on the topic of the whole COVID situation going on, have you yourself, with the companies you've invested in, kind of like pivoted your business strategies and plans according to the whole crisis going on?
It's hard. It's hard for everybody. And so, what I've told all of our entrepreneurs is a couple of things. I'm like, one, you've got to communicate, because your employees are scared, you're scared, your customers are scared, your partners are scared, your vendors are scared. Everybody's in the same situation together. It doesn't matter who you are or what you have, that virus don't care, right? And so you've got to be able to communicate. And when you communicate and talk to them, you've got to be transparent. You can't try to sugarcoat things. You've got to be honest. You got to tell them exactly what's going on in your business. And you've got to be authentic. You can't try to be bold or bravado and, oh, look, I'm tough and, I've got this. Because everybody knows, nobody's got this. It's complete uncertainty. And so knowing that, then I go back to the agility again. The sad part is the medical side, obviously. The sad part is the economy, all these people losing their jobs. The good part is this is a complete reset. If somebody just started, if you would have told me 3 months ago that if I want to start a company, I'm going to have equal footing with every single major company in the world, because everybody's turned upside down, that could never happen. But if it did, I'd want to start a business then. This literally right now, whether you're 12 years old, 16 years old, or 60 years old, is the best time in the history of the world to start a business, because the businesses that are already in place, they're struggling with challenges about how to retain and continue their existing business, and they're uncertain about what to do next. If you're starting from scratch, nobody knows what it's all going to look like on the other side. Nobody knows yet what America 2.0 is going to look like. But if you're in BBYO and you have a vision and you're networking with everybody in AZA and BBG and you're coming up with ideas, it could be you that creates your vision for America 2.0 that really takes people forward. I mean, think about it. This is your chance to take your ideas and start something completely new. Because by the time you're 30 years old, we're going to look back and say, during the pandemic of 2020, there were 25 or 30 or 50 world-class companies that just changed the world. And why can't it be you? So when you have that idea, just ask yourself, why not me? Right? Why can't I be that kid that starts that company that changed everything? And we've all heard stories before. Look at all the social media companies, from Twitch to Facebook to Instagram to Snapchat. They were all started by, people who were relatively young and teens or in their early 20s. And it was after the tech boom had bust. And, it was all brand new to everybody, and they just went for it. So why not go for it? This is the ultimate time to start a business.
Yeah, I think that resonates with a lot of us who are looking for that sign, that moment to just get started and go.
You're never going to get a better sign than this right now, Emily.
Mark Cuban live.
Live, right? Because this is it. All of my companies that exist right now, we're scrambling and we're trying to come up with a better way. But I'm asking them all, right? I'm asking the CEOs and I'm asking all the employees, what ideas do you have? What's your vision? How would you like to see the world? This is this unique opportunity to change the world. And I mean, I can't do anything more than just encourage you and really say, yes, you've got to go for it.
Well, then on a personal basis, with being the first team owner to say that you'll pay all of your stadium employees, I got to tell you, when that happened, I got a call from my sister, Alana, telling me, you'll never hear what Mark Cuban just did. How were you inspired to take that initiative? And Also, on a more realistic basis, how are you going to pull that off?
Well, I mean, how am I going to pull it off? I'll write the checks, right? Why did I do it? It was just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, the more successful I've gotten, the more I've realized that I did get here on my own. I've busted my ass. I've foregone vacations. I've given up things, and every step of the way I had help. I've had partners. I've had great people. And some of those people get paid by the hour and they live paycheck to paycheck. And I realized when the NBA was suspended, I was going to be okay financially, right? But they were going to worry about how to put food on the table and how to take care of their families. And it was the least I can do to just say to them, you know what, I'm going to keep on paying you as if it was business as usual. And I said the same thing to our employees at the Mavs, at other companies that I control. It was like, yes, we'll keep on paying you because the amount of money that I'll spend, it's a lot, but I can afford it. But the importance to them just dwarfs the importance to me. And so it was just the right thing to do.
Yeah, during this time, we've definitely seen a lot of selfless behavior, such as that one, of people just really reaching out to each other. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way it should be. I mean, look, when you deal with a situation like this, nobody's a hero unless everybody's a hero. And that's the beauty of BBYO and the community and the network. Because if one of us falls, we all fall, right? Because that's what BBYO is there for, to help pick us all up, right? That's the way it was when I was a kid. That's the way it is now. Now you guys can connect so much more easily and support each other. And so, yeah, everybody is a hero because everybody's a hero. And it's just, that's how the world is better now. That's why what you're doing is so important.
Mm-hmm. So kind of going back a little bit, talking about like the whole initiative on where you're helping out the employees with your team. How has the crisis actually impacted like the players on your team and like the whole kind of management side of that part?
They're going crazy. This is supposed to be their season and we were having a great season, and their whole orientation to their job is, physical and playing and working out and working on their skill set. And, other than ball handling in, the backyard, and maybe some of them have a hoop and maybe some of them go out to the park to shoot some, it's really frustrating for them, just like it is for anybody, working from home who's not able to do what they love. So they're going crazy, but we're keeping in touch with them and we're trying to keep them excited. We have these little Peloton battles, where we race, and even I get in there and, don't do too bad. And so it's been an adjustment, but again, it's the same thing as with any other company. You just have to communicate, you have to be honest, and you have to be compassionate.
Yeah, I think that for us BBYO teens, that's what drives a lot of our work in BBYO as well. That passion for the community, for each other, and for the future. So quick turn to, you've recently said that you haven't ruled out your presidential bid. I gotta ask, I mean, you're making all the news about it, so I gotta ask. So feel free to share anything you're comfortable sharing here.
Somebody's got to be the first Jewish president, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it's not going to be me, I'd rather it be you. So. Right,
Emily, I'd vote for you in a heartbeat. We'll see. I thought about it very seriously. My family voted it down. It was voted 4-1 against, and so I had no say in it whatsoever. But
that's democracy.
Changed. Yeah, that's democracy, right? But things changed in a big way, obviously, and so it's unlikely. There's a lot of hurdles for it, but you never know what's going to happen next. And because of that, I just wanted to keep the door open. But just to be candid, it's unlikely, but it's not impossible.
Mm-hmm. So with that, how do you see business and politics working together best with regard to the impact of the coronavirus?
I'm not even worried so much about the politics. I'm worried about business and people and communities. Politicians are going to play the games they play. They're going to take their side and the other side, and they'll argue and, try to do the right thing when they can. But for businesses, leading into the COVID, there was a lot of talk about businesses not being compassionate, businesses not supporting people. You saw, Bernie Sanders get a great following. because he wanted to stand up for people, and, deservedly so, he got a following. But, part of his spiel, if you will, was that businesses don't do the right thing. And I think businesses hopefully learned from the fact that Bernie had so many followers that people, everyday people, are concerned that businesses aren't compassionate, that they don't care about their employees. And I think this is an opportunity for businesses and their employees to come together, and to solve this economic problem. We're going to have to work from the bottom up, because it's not like me as a business owner or any business owner or CEO can just say, you know what, we're just going to hire enough people or do enough things that it'll all be okay. That's not going to happen. This is just too different. And so businesses are going to have to really help their employees more. You saw me continue to pay my employees. There's other companies doing the same thing. I think we're going to need to pay our employees more. I think we're going to need to offer them equity, because we're learning that when horrible things like this hit that we don't expect, the Federal Reserve, the central banks, they can throw money into the system, and that helps rich people keep rich, right? It helps me stay there, but it doesn't help people at the bottom who, we're looking at 26 million people having lost their jobs recently, and who knows how many more, tens of millions of more, who are underemployed and struggling and scared. And so the government can help them some, but it's really going to be up to businesses to really reinvent how we support our employees.
Yeah, speaking of how the government is injecting upwards of $3 trillion into the economy at this point to try to, help people stay afloat during these times, is there anything you think that they should be doing differently? I know that you are discussing and maybe advising President Donald Trump on next steps. Is there anything that you think that the government should be doing in addition to the most important work that's coming from the companies?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of things that we can do. Look, we've had so many people that have lost their jobs. I think we're going to have a federal jobs program where, as for instance, we're going to need people to do tracking and testing for the COVID virus and for potential future epidemics that hopefully don't turn into pandemics. And I think we're going to have to start hiring potentially and training millions of people to be testers and trackers, right? That just go out there and deal with the virus so we can learn more about it, make sure that we deal with HIPAA regulations and protect privacy, and create those jobs and make them well-paid, or let's say living wage level jobs of $15 an hour or more. That's number one. Number two, our society is becoming a little bit older as boomers age. And so you're getting a lot more people going into long-term care, but there's not enough long-term care rooms or facilities. And so I think to help fight this unemployment, it'd be smart to start building long-term care facilities and hiring the millions of people we need through the federal government, so that, again, we're creating new healthcare jobs, training those people to enter the healthcare professions, and paying them enough to do well and take care of their families. Those are two examples. There's things with infrastructure we can do. You can go down a long list of federally guaranteed jobs or created jobs. But, we're in different times. If you would have asked me what I thought we needed to do economically 6 months ago, I would have given you a completely different answer. And I would have said, I don't want to increase the debt the way we're increasing the debt. That just puts more on our kids. I would have told you that I don't want the government as involved as much as Bernie Sanders wants it, but we're not where we were 6 months ago. We're facing a pandemic that is, that we don't even have all the answers for, and we're dealing with imperfect information. Eventually we'll have a vaccine. Eventually we'll have therapy so that we don't have to be as afraid of it as we are, but we don't have that now. And so that's why I think the government needs to get involved, because if we don't, we risk falling into a depression like they did in the 30s, where the government didn't invest in creating jobs. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, because I think we're taking a lot of the right steps with the stimulus program, but I think we're going to have to do more just because of the realities of how many jobs have been lost.
Yeah, we did definitely see that after the Great Depression with FDR's public works projects. Speaking of public works projects, totally unrelated. We have some questions coming in from the chats, and a lot of people really eager to ask you a couple things. Sure. This question comes straight from Russia, all the way.
That's not little Russian. Remember I told you I took Russian in high school, Boris, right?
Oh.
And so I just said, hi, how are you?
Yeah, that's all I know in Russian. I got Privyet, that's it. So from Russia, this BBYO member would like to know, what do you think of TikTok? We know you're a big fan of the dances, and what do you think about the opportunities that are coming for the platform's future?
That's a great question. It's fun, right? They do a great job with AI. They're giving you a continuous feed of videos. And the interesting part, the videos they feed me or my son or Emily or Samuel, they're all different. They're all personalized, right? And so that's what makes it a very strong platform. So I'm bullish on it. Every app is going to be replaced at some point in time. But I think, TikTok is just fun. And it's addictive. Once you start watching it, you can't stop watching it. And then you want to do the dance moves. And, I'll tell you what, just follow me at M Cuban on TikTok, and you'll see I got it going on.
Do you have any big plans for some upcoming TikToks or?
Yeah, well, see, my daughter and I, she's trying really hard to be TikTok famous. So she uses me all the time. And so we just did the whipped cream challenge. We did Renegade. And so she told me I forget what we're doing next, but she knows all the moves right off the bat, right? Because they use the same moves over and over again in the challenges and everything. And so, I know the whoa and I know some of them, but she knows, she cracks up because it's going to take me about 30 minutes to learn the dance. But again, you follow me on TikTok, M Cuban, you're going to see them all.
Well, I'd be more than willing to be in one of those TikToks. Don't worry about it. You don't even have to ask twice.
Emily, all you got to do is do a duet, right? You just
okay, I got you.
Or, tell us all your TikTok, and then I'll duet with you.
Sounds good.
All right, next question's coming in from Kansas City. This question is from two AZA members in Kansas City competing in an entrepreneurial competition with a parody business concept. Applesauce. Applesauce is an applesauce on tap in a keg. Applesauce eliminates a large majority of environmentally harmful waste from the traditional applesauce snack. It is also a more fun way to consume the important household food. We would love to hear any opinions, criticisms, or endorsements of our product.
Okay, so first of all, I love applesauce. Second, I hate the way applesauce is packaged. And let me just tell you, this is the honest to God truth. I finished out a jar of applesauce yesterday. And the way they make these jars, I don't care what brand it is, you always have to stick the spoon all the way down and you always get the applesauce on your hand. That's just wrong. That should be illegal. That's applesauce abuse. So when it comes to applesauce, right, it's not a bad idea, but it's going to be tough to have a tap of applesauce fit in your refrigerator or keep it cold on the side because you got to keep your applesauce cold, right? So you're going to have to come up with a better way to make it small enough so that it doesn't take up too much room in the fridge. But most importantly, and I'll be your first customer if you solve this, don't leave any applesauce behind because there's nothing worse than wasting applesauce, and don't you ever forget it.
I'm sure they will take that to heart. All right. From Canada, we have a great question. What kind of innovation do you think will be born as a result of the impact of the pandemic?
That's a great question. I don't know yet. I don't know because we really haven't started to get a glimpse of what it's going to look like when we go out there, what's going to happen to businesses, how they're going to respond, or what new businesses are going to be created. And that's the opportunity, right? And that's why I keep on saying, if you have a vision for what you think it should look like in the United States and Canada and anywhere, that's what we want to see. So I don't know the answer, but I'm excited to find out.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this one's from Denver. What advice would you give to people, particularly young people that just entered the job market or are about to enter the job market and might have a lot of anxiety or concerns about the short-term future?
Yeah, just take whatever job, right? You probably just spent 4 years paying to learn, right? And you probably paid a whole lot of money those 4 years to learn. Now, by going to that first job, it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be a long-term career, but now you're getting paid to learn. And the purpose of that job really is to get into the workplace and just figure out what it takes to start adulting. What does it take to really, live by yourself or, start dealing with your bills and everything and really get a sense for who you are in the workplace. And whether it's like my first job only lasted 9 months before I got out of there, right? Wasn't a perfect job, but I learned so much and that platformed me to go to the next. I think, going into jobs now with all that's going on, you got to be more like an NBA free agent. You got to talk to all the teams, but you know what? you don't need the perfect team. You just need a team that gives you the job and gives you a chance to show what you can do. And work there for a year, be a free agent again, go on to the next one. Or if you happen to like it a lot, stay there for as long as you like it. But don't worry about finding the perfect job and stressing about it. Don't worry about what industry it's in. If you find a job that you love, great. But let me just tell you something. When you're 21, 22, and you're going into a new company with that job, you're going to make a lot of friends. You're going to be so fired up. You're going to be excited that you're going to have fun no matter what. And so give it a chance. Don't worry about the perfect job.
I think that's going to, sorry.
No, you're good.
I think that's going to be inspiration for a lot of people watching, especially some of our alum who just got out of college. Question from Turkey on the same subject. What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Golly, just in general life advice, the one thing in life that you can control is your effort. No matter what it is, no matter what you're trying to accomplish, the one thing you have the 100% ability to control and nobody can get in your way is the amount of effort you put into whatever it is you're doing. That's the first thing. And the second one I like to use, and my kids are sick of hearing this, but how you do anything is how you do everything. If you paid attention to the details in a recipe or cleaning up your room, you're the type of person that's going to pay attention to the details in your business. If you're not, you're not, and you'll find out who you are. But how you do anything is how you do everything.
Mark, do you mind if we ask you 2 more questions before we wrap it all up?
Why don't you ask me 2 more questions, Samuel?
Awesome. All the way from Australia. Who is your biggest inspiration and why?
My dad. My dad did have a lot. His dad came over from Russia, didn't even speak English. His parents, both my grandparents did. And, didn't go to college, just had to scrap his way, did upholstery on cars, and just encouraged me every step of the way. And he always was very clear that even though he may not have done the things he had hoped he could do, he had confidence in me that I could. Even when I wasn't doing the things that he thought I should, he always had confidence in me. And so he was my biggest inspiration.
Yeah, I could say I feel the same way about my dad, but he's watching, and so he's definitely blushing right now. All the way from Los Angeles, we have our final question. In BBYO, older, experienced members are always showing the ropes to life to younger members. If you were going to do a sales pitch for getting involved with BBYO, what would you say?
So if I was the older member giving a pitch to a younger member trying to come in, or?
To anybody.
Okay,
anybody trying to join.
Oh, just the BBYO in general. When you're growing up, everybody wants to make new friends, right? Everybody wants to know what the world's all about. BBYO is an organization that not only allows you to make new friends, but experience the world. Here we are just, getting together online, and we've had questions from Turkey, from Russia, from Australia, from Denver, and even Los Angeles. And, you don't get access to that. And everybody knows that we have so much in common, right? Being Jewish, being the same age, it's just your ability to connect in ways you're not going to be able to connect with other people. Give BBYO a chance. You're going to make your best friends for life.
Well, I'm sold. I'm in. I'll invest right now. So Mark, we cannot thank you enough for being with us tonight. Thank you for your support to BBYO and for being such a terrific role model for tens and thousands of teens in BBYO around the world, and me. We're so proud to share our organization with you and to have the chance to learn from you in this direct and exclusive way.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you joining us this evening, and we look forward to the meaningful shared moments in the future. We hope that you'll be able to find the right moment when all of this chaos is over to host you in person at a future global BBYO gathering soon.
That's a deal. That's a deal for sure. Thank you, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed it. I enjoyed the questions. Samuel, Emily, you guys were awesome. Awesome.
Thank
Great
you so
questions.
much.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
We had 4,000 teens, alumni, parents, and friends joining us tonight just for you, Mark. So thank you for giving us this opportunity.
That was it. And thank you, because it was special to me too. You guys did a great job and helped me connect back to my roots. And so I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Mark.